Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode. I am your host, Inova, and today we are going to focus on using daily sentences in English to improve your fluency, accuracy, and confidence when speaking. Many advanced English learners often know a lot of vocabulary and grammar rules, but sometimes they struggle to put everything together naturally in conversation. In this episode, I will guide you through practical sentences and expressions that you can use in real-life situations, helping you sound more like a native speaker. By the end of this session, you will be able to express yourself more clearly, confidently, and naturally in English. Using daily sentences effectively not only improves your speaking skills, but also strengthens your listening and comprehension abilities, because when you practice these sentences, you start to recognize them in conversations, movies, podcasts, and even casual talks with friends or colleagues. Today, we will explore a wide range of sentences that advanced learners can use in professional, social, and casual contexts, and I will explain each sentence carefully so you understand its meaning, usage, and possible variations. We will focus on sentences that convey thoughts, feelings, opinions, and observations, and I will also give tips on how to make them sound natural and fluent. Remember, the key to mastering daily English sentences is practice and repetition, so I encourage you to repeat the sentences aloud, use them in conversations, and adapt them to your own style. For example, when discussing work, instead of saying a very simple sentence like, "I finished my work," you can say, "I have completed the report and sent it to the team for review," which sounds more professional and detailed. In social settings, instead of saying, "I like this," you could say, "I really enjoy the atmosphere here. It feels very welcoming and relaxing," which gives more context and expresses your feelings in a natural way. We will also cover sentences for giving advice, asking questions, sharing opinions, and making suggestions, all of which are essential for advanced learners to communicate effectively. Using these sentences in your daily life will gradually help you think in English, reduce hesitation, and increase your confidence in both speaking and writing. One of the most important aspects of improving your English as an advanced learner is learning to use sentences that are natural and fluid in everyday communication. Sometimes, learners know many words and even complex grammar rules, but their sentences can still sound awkward or too formal. Today, we will focus on sentences that you can use in real-life situations to sound confident and natural. For example, instead of saying, "I am happy," you can say, "I am really pleased with how things turned out today," which gives more context and makes your English sound more fluent. Similarly, instead of saying, "I am tired," you could say, "I feel exhausted after such a long day, and I really need to relax," which expresses your feelings more clearly and naturally. These sentences are not only more descriptive, but they also help you practice advanced structures, vocabulary, and connectors that are used by native speakers. When you learn to use sentences like this every day, you are training your brain to think in English, which is the key to speaking smoothly without translating from your native language. Another example is giving opinions in conversations. Instead of saying, "I like this movie," you could say, "I really enjoyed the movie because it had a unique storyline and the characters were very well developed," which gives a clear reason for your opinion and shows your ability to expand your sentences naturally. Using these kinds of sentences can also help in professional situations. For instance, instead of saying, "I did my job," you could say, "I completed all the tasks assigned to me today, and made sure that everything met the required standards, which sounds more professional and shows your attention to detail. By practicing these sentences every day, you are not only improving your grammar and vocabulary, but you are also learning how to communicate with more precision, clarity, and confidence. Let us now focus on sentences for asking questions and starting conversations. Advanced learners often struggle with creating engaging questions that encourage dialogue, so it is important to learn sentences that are natural and inviting. For example, instead of asking, "Are you okay?" in a very plain way, you can say, "How have you been feeling lately? I hope everything is going well," which sounds more caring and encourages the other person to share more information. Similarly, instead of asking, "What do you do?" you could ask, "Can you tell me more about your work and what projects you are currently focusing on?" which shows interest and creates a more meaningful conversation. These kinds of sentences are very useful in social, academic, and professional settings because they help you connect with others and practice using more complex sentence structures naturally. When you ask detailed and thoughtful questions, you also practice using advanced grammar, such as relative clauses, modals, and conditionals, without even realizing it, which makes your English much more fluent and versatile. Now let us talk about sentences for giving advice and suggestions. Advanced learners often hesitate to give advice because they are worried about sounding too direct or impolite. Learning how to phrase suggestions naturally can make a big difference. For example, instead of saying "you should exercise," you can say, "It might help to exercise regularly because it can improve your energy levels and overall health," which is polite, clear, and natural. Another example is instead of saying "you need to study more," you can say, "I think you could benefit from reviewing this topic again, as it will help you understand the material better," which is more supportive and professional. Using these types of sentences not only improves your ability to communicate politely, but it also helps you practice advanced vocabulary, connectors like because, as, since, and more complex verb forms, which are essential for sounding confident and fluent. Practicing advice and suggestion sentences daily will also make it easier for you to participate in discussions, meetings, or debates in English, as you will already have a natural way to express your thoughts and opinions. In addition to advice, it is important to learn sentences that describe experiences, feelings, and personal stories. Native speakers often share details in conversations to make their speech more interesting and engaging. For example, instead of saying, "I went to a party," you could say, "I attended a wonderful party last night, and it was amazing to see everyone enjoying themselves and sharing stories," which paints a clear picture and makes your English more descriptive. Instead of saying, "I felt good," you can say, "I felt really happy and relaxed because I was surrounded by friends and enjoyed some great music," which not only expresses your emotions clearly, but also helps you practice linking ideas in one sentence. These kinds of sentences are very useful for storytelling, casual conversations, and even interviews or presentations, because they show your ability to speak fluently, use advanced vocabulary, and structure your sentences logically. By practicing descriptive sentences every day, you can improve both your speaking and writing skills as you learn to express your ideas more fully and coherently. Another area we will focus on is using sentences to express opinions in discussions or debates. Advanced learners often know what they want to say, but struggle to phrase it confidently. Instead of saying, "I think this is good," you can say, "In my opinion, This approach works well because it considers different perspectives and provides practical solutions, which sounds much more sophisticated and convincing. Similarly, instead of saying, "I do not agree," you could say, "I understand your point, but I have a different perspective based on my experience, and I think we should consider alternative options," which is polite, professional, and natural. These types of sentences are extremely useful in professional settings, academic discussions, and social debates because they allow you to express your thoughts clearly and persuasively without sounding rude or uncertain. Practicing opinion sentences will also improve your ability to use advanced connectors, modals, and conditionals naturally, which is essential for advanced fluency. We should also explore sentences for expressing emotions, reactions, and responses to situations. Advanced learners sometimes use very simple sentences like, "I am happy," or "I am surprised." But these sentences can be expanded to sound more natural and expressive. For example, instead of saying, "I am happy," you can say, "I am genuinely delighted with the outcome, and it feels very rewarding to see my efforts succeed," which expresses your happiness in a much richer way. Instead of saying, "I am surprised," you could say, "I was genuinely taken aback by the news, as I did not expect such an outcome," which adds nuance and sophistication to your English. Using these types of sentences helps you communicate emotions effectively, connect with others in conversations, and practice complex sentence structures naturally. Advanced learners who practice emotion and reaction sentences regularly often notice a significant improvement in their listening skills as well, because they start to recognize similar expressions in conversations and media. We can continue by focusing on sentences for professional and workplace communication. Many advanced learners struggle to sound confident and natural in work-related situations because they rely on memorized phrases or very simple sentences. Instead of saying, "I finished the report," you can say, "I have completed the report and made sure all the details are accurate before submitting it to the team," which sounds professional and responsible. Instead of saying, "I need help," you can say, "I would appreciate your guidance on this project to ensure I am following the correct procedure," which is polite, professional, and natural. By using these sentences, you not only improve your spoken English, but also gain confidence in emails, meetings, and presentations, which is essential for advanced learners who want to use English effectively in professional contexts. Practicing workplace sentences daily will make your English sound more fluent, precise, and appropriate for different professional scenarios. Another essential skill for advanced English learners is learning how to make your speech engaging by adding transitions and linking ideas naturally. In daily conversations, using sentences that connect your thoughts smoothly can make your English sound professional and fluent. For example, instead of saying, "I went to the store, I bought some fruits," you can say, "I went to the store earlier today, and while I was there, I bought some fresh fruits for the week," which flows naturally and adds more context. Similarly, instead of saying, "I watched a movie, it was interesting," you could say, "I watched an interesting movie last night, and I was impressed by the storyline and the way the characters developed," which gives more detail and makes your English more vivid. Learning to use linking words and phrases such as while, as well as, although, in addition, and consequently allows you to combine sentences, explain ideas clearly, and avoid choppy speech. Practicing this type of sentence daily will improve your fluency and make your English sound more sophisticated and confident. It is also very important to learn how to express hypothetical situations and possibilities, which is an advanced skill that makes your English versatile and precise. Instead of saying, I cannot go because I am busy, you could say, if I were free tomorrow, I would love to join you, but unfortunately I have several commitments that I need to complete, which shows polite expression, advanced grammar, and natural flow. Another example is instead of saying, it might rain, you can say it is possible that it will rain later today, so it would be a good idea to take an umbrella with you, which provides context and advice in one sentence. Using sentences for hypothetical situations, possibilities, and suggestions allows you to communicate complex ideas clearly, and practicing these sentences every day will help you develop the ability to speak and write in English more creatively and fluently. Another area advanced learners should focus on is sentences for expressing agreement, disagreement, and nuanced opinions. Simple sentences like, I agree or I disagree can be expanded to sound much more natural and professional. For example, instead of saying, I agree, you can say, I completely agree with your point, because it reflects the key aspects of the issue and provides a practical perspective, which shows understanding and reasoning. Instead of saying, I disagree, you could say, I understand your perspective, but I see things differently based on my experience, and I believe we should consider an alternative approach, which sounds respectful, polite, and confident. Using these kinds of sentences will improve your ability to participate in discussions, debates, meetings, and social conversations, allowing you to express opinions clearly, logically, and fluently. Practicing these sentences regularly will also help you become more comfortable with advanced grammar structures, such as modals, conditionals, and connectors, which are essential for high-level English. We should also pay attention to sentences that describe sequences of events, which are very useful for storytelling, giving instructions, or explaining processes. Instead of saying, I woke up, I ate breakfast, I went to work, you can say, I woke up early this morning, had a healthy breakfast, and then headed to work feeling energized and ready for the day, which is much more detailed and natural. Similarly, instead of saying, I cooked dinner, I ate, I watched TV, you could say, I prepared a delicious dinner for myself, enjoyed the meal while relaxing, and then watched a few episodes of my favorite TV series to unwind, which creates a clear and engaging picture for the listener. Using sentences that describe sequences naturally helps you practice verb tenses, connectors, and sentence variety, which are all important for advanced English fluency. By practicing these sentences in your daily life, you will improve your ability to narrate experiences, give instructions, and explain processes clearly and confidently. Another important set of sentences for advanced learners is those that compare, contrast, or show relationships between ideas. Instead of saying, this is better, you can say, I find this method more effective than the previous one because it saves time and produces better results, which is specific, detailed, and natural. Instead of saying, this is similar, you could say, this approach is quite similar to what we used before, but it includes a few additional steps that make it more efficient, which clearly explains the similarities and differences. Using sentences for comparison and contrast allows you to express your thoughts in a more nuanced way, which is very important in professional, academic, and social contexts. Practicing these sentences regularly will also help you expand your vocabulary and use adjectives, adverbs, and connectors more naturally in conversation. Let us also focus on sentences for expressing certainty, possibility, and probability. Simple sentences like I know or maybe can be expanded for advanced learners to sound confident and natural. For example, instead of saying, "I know it," you can say, "I am certain that this is the right solution because the evidence clearly supports it," which adds reasoning and clarity. Instead of saying maybe, you could say, "It is possible that this will happen, but we need to consider other factors before making a final decision," which shows critical thinking and natural English expression. These sentences are extremely useful for discussions, professional communication, and decision-making conversations because they allow you to express different levels of certainty and possibility while sounding fluent and thoughtful. Practicing these sentences in context will help you become more confident in expressing your thoughts in advanced English naturally. We should also practice sentences for giving compliments, encouragement, and appreciation. Instead of saying, "Good job," you can say, "You did an excellent job on this project, and I really appreciate your attention to detail and commitment," which is more sincere and professional. Instead of saying, "You are great," you could say, "I admire your dedication and the way you handle challenging situations with confidence and creativity," which provides detail and makes your praise meaningful. Using these kinds of sentences will improve your social communication skills, allow you to build better relationships, and practice more descriptive and natural English. Complimenting and encouraging others naturally in English is an advanced skill that enhances your overall communication and helps you sound confident, polite, and thoughtful. Another important aspect is learning sentences for handling disagreements, misunderstandings, or conflicts politely. Instead of saying, "You are wrong," you can say, "I understand your point, but I have a different perspective, and I think it would be helpful to consider an alternative approach," which is polite and professional. Instead of saying, "No, that is not correct," you could say, "See what you mean, but based on my understanding and experience, I think there might be another way to approach this situation," which maintains respect and encourages dialogue. Practicing sentences for disagreements and conflict resolution will make your English more advanced, professional, and natural, and it will also give you confidence when communicating in sensitive or challenging situations. We will also explore sentences for expressing wishes, hopes, and future plans. Instead of saying, "I want to travel," you can say, "I hope to travel to different countries next year to learn about new cultures and meet new people," which sounds more thoughtful and descriptive. Instead of saying, "I want to improve my English," you could say, "I am planning to improve my English by practicing speaking with native speakers, listening to podcasts, and reading articles regularly," which provides detail and shows initiative. Using sentences for hopes, wishes, and plans allows you to communicate your intentions clearly, sound more confident, and practice advanced grammar such as future tenses, modals, and conditionals naturally. Another important skill for advanced English learners is learning how to ask for clarification and confirm understanding in conversations. Even native speakers often ask questions to make sure they fully understand what someone is saying, and using these sentences in your daily English practice can make you sound confident and fluent. Instead of saying, "I do not understand," you can say, "Could you please clarify what you mean? I want to make sure I understand your point correctly," which is polite and professional. Another example is instead of saying, "What do you mean?" you could say, "I am not entirely sure I follow your idea. Could you explain it in a little more detail?" which sounds natural, thoughtful, and engaging. Using sentences to confirm understanding helps prevent misunderstandings, encourages active listening, and allows you to practice complex sentence structures in a conversational way. Practicing these sentences regularly will improve your ability to interact in both professional and social settings without hesitation. It is also very helpful to learn sentences for expressing gratitude, appreciation, and politeness naturally. Simple phrases like, "Thank you," are good, but advanced learners can make them sound more genuine and expressive. Instead of saying thank you, you can say, "I truly appreciate your help and the time you took to explain this to me," which shows sincerity and attention to detail. Instead of saying, "Thanks a lot," you could say, "I am really grateful for your support, and it has made a significant difference," which conveys gratitude in a more natural and advanced way. These sentences are very useful in professional communication, social interactions, and academic settings because they allow you to express your appreciation clearly and politely while practicing advanced English expressions. Using gratitude sentences daily will also improve your overall confidence in conversations and make your English sound more fluent and natural. We should also focus on sentences for expressing opinions politely in debates, discussions, or meetings. Advanced learners sometimes feel nervous expressing opinions, but using natural, polite, and confident sentences can make a big difference. Instead of saying, "I think this is wrong," you can say, "I understand your point, but based on my experience, I have a slightly different perspective that I would like to share," which is respectful and professional. Another example is instead of saying, "I like this idea," you could say, "I really like this idea because it addresses the key challenges effectively and seems practical in implementation," which shows reasoning and clarity. Using sentences like these allows you to communicate effectively, sound confident, and demonstrate advanced English skills in both professional and social contexts. Practicing them regularly will help you participate in discussions naturally without feeling nervous or hesitant. Another area to focus on is expressing regret, apologies, and acknowledgement naturally. Simple sentences like, "I am sorry," can be expanded to show sincerity and clarity. Instead of saying, "I am sorry," you can say, "I apologize for the inconvenience caused, and I will make sure it does not happen again," which is polite and professional. Instead of saying, "Sorry for that," you could say, "I am truly sorry for the mistake, and I appreciate your understanding as I work to resolve the issue," which communicates responsibility and empathy. Using sentences for apologies and acknowledgement regularly will help you handle difficult situations smoothly and professionally while practicing complex sentence structures and advanced vocabulary. It is equally important to practice sentences for giving instructions, directions, and explanations clearly. Simple sentences like, "Go there," or "Do this," can be expanded for advanced learners to sound professional and natural. Instead of saying, "Do this," you can say, "Please complete this task by the end of the day," and make sure all the necessary details are included, which is polite, detailed, and natural. Instead of saying, "Go to that room," you could say, "Kindly proceed to the meeting room on the second floor, and let me know if you need any assistance finding it," which provides context and sounds professional. Using sentences for instructions and explanations will improve your communication skills in professional, academic, and everyday situations while allowing you to practice clarity, connectors, and polite expressions. We should also focus on sentences for expressing disappointment, frustration, or dissatisfaction politely. Advanced learners often struggle to communicate negative emotions without sounding harsh or rude. Instead of saying, I am unhappy, you can say, I am disappointed with the outcome because it did not meet the expectations we had discussed, which is clear, professional, and polite. Another example is instead of saying, this is bad, you could say, I am concerned about the results and think we need to review the process to ensure better outcomes in the future, which expresses dissatisfaction constructively. Practicing these types of sentences regularly will help you communicate difficult emotions clearly, professionally, and naturally while improving your advanced English skills. It is also very useful to learn sentences for offering help, support, or assistance naturally. Instead of saying, I can help, you can say, I would be happy to assist you with this task if you need any support, which sounds polite, confident, and professional. Another example is instead of saying, do you want help? You could say, if you would like, I can help you complete this project or provide guidance along the way, which shows initiative and professionalism. Using sentences for offering help regularly will improve your ability to interact naturally and politely in professional and social situations while practicing advanced sentence structures. We should also explore sentences for expressing curiosity, interest, or excitement naturally. Instead of saying, I am curious, you can say, I am really curious to learn more about this topic because it seems very interesting and relevant, which sounds engaged and natural. Instead of saying, I am excited, you could say, I am genuinely excited about the upcoming event because it will give us an opportunity to meet new people and gain valuable experience, which conveys enthusiasm and detail. Practicing these sentences will improve your speaking fluency, vocabulary, and ability to express feelings naturally in advanced English. Another useful set of sentences for advanced learners is describing changes, progress, and development. Instead of saying, it changed, you can say, the situation has changed significantly over the past few weeks, and we need to adjust our approach accordingly, which is precise and natural. Instead of saying it improved, you could say, the project has improved steadily thanks to consistent effort and teamwork, which is very encouraging, which is descriptive and professional. Using sentences to describe changes and progress allows you to communicate developments clearly in professional, academic, and everyday conversations while practicing advanced grammar and vocabulary naturally. We can continue by focusing on sentences for negotiating, persuading, and influencing others politely. Instead of saying, do this, you can say, I suggest we consider this option because it offers several advantages and aligns with our goals, which sounds professional and persuasive. Another example is instead of saying, you should agree, you could say, I believe this approach could be very beneficial, and I hope you will consider it carefully, which is polite, thoughtful, and confident. Practicing persuasive. Sentences will improve your ability to communicate in professional meetings, discussions, and negotiations while developing natural, advanced English fluency. Another important skill for advanced English learners is learning how to tell stories in a detailed and engaging way. Storytelling is not just about recounting events. It is about using sentences that show sequence, cause and effect, emotions, and context. Instead of saying, I went to the city, you could say, last weekend, I went to the city to explore some interesting places, and I was amazed by the lively atmosphere and the variety of shops and restaurants, which is descriptive, engaging, and natural. Another example is instead of saying, I met my friend, You could say, I met my friend at a cozy cafe, and we spent hours talking about our recent experiences and sharing stories from our past adventures, which gives context, expresses emotions, and flows naturally. Practicing storytelling sentences regularly helps you improve vocabulary, sentence variety, and fluency while making your English sound much more natural and advanced. It is also very useful to learn sentences for discussing experiences, opinions, and reflections in a structured way. Advanced learners often give very short answers, but expanding your sentences helps you communicate more effectively and impressively. Instead of saying, the trip was good, you can say, the trip was incredible because I had the chance to explore new places, meet interesting people, and learn about the local culture, which provides reasons and makes your English more descriptive. Another example is instead of saying, I liked the book, you could say, I thoroughly enjoyed the book because the story was captivating, the characters were well developed, and the writing style was very engaging, which explains your opinion in detail. Using sentences for reflections and experiences allows you to practice advanced grammar, connect ideas naturally, and communicate with clarity and confidence. We should also focus on sentences for expressing preferences and making comparisons. Instead of saying, I like tea more, you can say, I prefer tea over coffee because it is soothing and helps me relax after a long day, which provides reasoning and sounds natural. Another example is instead of saying, this is better than that, you could say, I find this method more effective than the previous one, because it saves time and produces better results in the long run, which is specific, descriptive, and professional. Using sentences for preferences and comparisons regularly will improve your ability to explain choices, discuss opinions, and use connectors naturally in advanced English. Another area advanced learners should focus on is sentences for expressing opinions with nuance and subtlety. Simple sentences like, I think it is good, can be expanded for more sophisticated expression. Instead of saying, I think it is good, you can say, I believe this solution is effective because it addresses the key challenges while considering long-term consequences, which is thoughtful, precise, and professional. Instead of saying, I do not like it, you could say, I am not entirely satisfied with this approach because it overlooks some important aspects that could impact the results, which shows nuance, reasoning, and maturity in English expression. Practicing these sentences helps advanced learners communicate complex ideas clearly and persuasively while sounding natural. It is also important to practice sentences for expressing emotions and reactions vividly. Instead of saying, I am surprised, you can say, I was completely surprised by the announcement because I did not expect such a positive outcome, which adds detail and emotion. Another example is instead of saying, I am happy, you could say, I feel genuinely happy and relieved because all the hard work paid off and the results exceeded my expectations, which expresses emotion naturally and fully. Using sentences for emotions and reactions allows you to connect with others more effectively, sound expressive, and practice advanced sentence structures and vocabulary. We should also explore sentences for making polite requests and offers. Simple sentences like, give me that, can be improved for advanced learners to sound natural and polite. Instead of saying, give me that, you can say, could you please hand me the report when you have a moment? I would really appreciate it, which is polite and professional. Another example is instead of saying, help me with this, you could say, would you mind helping me with this task? Your guidance would be very helpful, which is respectful and natural. Practicing sentences for requests and offers regularly will improve your ability to communicate effectively in professional and social situations while maintaining politeness and clarity. Another important area is learning sentences for expressing agreement, support, and encouragement. Instead of saying, "Yes, you are right," you can say, "I completely agree with your point because it aligns with the evidence and provides a logical solution," which is confident and professional. Another example is instead of saying, "Good job," you could say, "You did an excellent job on this project, and I really appreciate the effort and attention to detail you put into it," which is encouraging, detailed, and natural. Using sentences for agreement and encouragement regularly allows you to build better relationships, communicate confidently, and practice advanced English naturally. It is also very helpful to practice sentences for giving detailed explanations and instructions. Instead of saying, "Do this," you can say, "Please complete this task by following the steps carefully and ensure that all the requirements are met before submitting it," which is precise, professional, and natural. Another example is instead of saying, "Go there," you could say, "Kindly proceed to the conference room on the 3rd floor and let me know if you need any assistance finding it," which is polite, clear, and detailed. Using sentences for explanations and instructions allows advanced learners to practice clarity, connectors, and professional English naturally. We should also focus on sentences for expressing uncertainty, possibility, and speculation. Simple sentences like "maybe it will happen" can be expanded for more advanced expression. Instead of saying "maybe it will happen," you can say, "It is possible that this will happen, but we need to consider all the factors before making a decision," which is thoughtful, natural, and professional. Another example is instead of saying, "I am not sure," you could say, "I am not entirely certain about this outcome, but based on the information available, it seems plausible," which conveys uncertainty clearly while sounding fluent. Practicing sentences for uncertainty and possibility will help you communicate more naturally in discussions, professional meetings, and social conversations. It is also very important to practice sentences for expressing appreciation, admiration, and recognition naturally. Instead of saying, "I like your work," you can say, "I truly admire your work because it demonstrates creativity, dedication, and attention to detail," which is descriptive and professional. Another example is instead of saying, "Good effort," you could say, "I appreciate the effort you put into this project, and it clearly reflects your skills and commitment," which sounds encouraging and sophisticated. Using these sentences regularly helps advanced learners build social skills, express emotions naturally, and practice advanced English expressions.